it's Beauty Junkie. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a full face of liquid and cream products only, trying to avoid powders at all costs. The only powder I might use is a setting powder because I do plan to go out today, and usually if I don't use a setting powder I get very oily and greasy looking with all creams. So let's get into this very different video for me, and it's different because I generally incorporate lots of powders into my routine, especially on the complexion. I do have cream products, of course, in pretty much every category, but I usually do a combination of powders and creams in my look. So today we're stepping out of the boundaries for me. So let's start with primer, complexion. I'm going to be using my Victoria Beckham primer, the Cell Rejuvenating one in the golden. It's a little bit more glowy looking. It's actually a lot more glowy looking than the original one, which is white. So we're kind of doing twofold. I'm not just doing liquid, I'm also kind of going over the top glowy as well, just because let's just add another element to this challenge. Then for glow step, I can mix this in with the foundation or put it first. I'd like to put this first. This is the Auric Glow Lust. I have the shade Morganite, and this is a luminizing product. You can put it on your skin by itself, mix it in with foundation, or put it on top of your foundation like a highlight kind of a product. So I like to put it on underneath my foundation because it gives a beautiful lit from within glow. It's very glowy though, like you can see the shine from a while away. It does give a really nice effect, but I don't know that this is, I wouldn't recommend this one for everybody, especially if you like to use glow products all over the face, not just like certain areas. I think this one's a little bit much. And it's pretty pricey. I mean, I'm never going to use this much. It's almost too much product. Because to me, these types of products, they're not necessarily for every day. They're not a foundation, so it's not like you're going to go through them that quickly. Anyways, moving on to foundation, I thought about these two products. I'm not going to use both. The Junkay Future Skin. This is such a pretty foundation. But we're going to go glowy. This is a super glowy foundation on me. Charlotte's Beautiful Skin Foundation, Charlotte Tilbury. This is the shade number 3, Cool. I liked it at first in my first impressions video. After using it, I find it to be too wet looking, it doesn't dry down enough for me. So this is the shade Cool. I don't know, I liked it at first. I just find powders on top of it don't look that great. It's just, I don't know. I'm taking my damp Beauty Blender Real Technique sponge. I'm just gonna put this all over. I think what kind of messes me up about this product, it's a thicker texture, it's a dewy texture, and it's more coverage than I thought it would be. And it doesn't really fully dry down. So powders for me on top of it are kind of a challenge. But it's fine for today because we're doing all liquid. So concealer, I mean, it doesn't really matter what I use, to be honest, because concealer and foundation are always creamy, but I think I'm going to go with a lighter, more natural looking concealer just to go with the glow theme. Alright, so I'm using the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. 4.75 is my shade. This is I wouldn't say full coverage by any means, but very natural looking. I find this concealer to be very forgiving, and it doesn't dry down quickly or anything like that. Like, you can spread it really easily. Glow, bronzers, contours kind of products, highlights, blushes, the rest of the complexion, in other words. So I usually like to start with my bronzer contour first. I have so many options of creams in this category. I have the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Intensity 0.5. This is a cream highlighter and a cream contour slash bronzer. This is the lightest shade they have. The texture of this is very creamy. You guys can see that color. It's almost like, I don't know, chocolate or hot chocolate. No, chocolate with a little bit of milk mixed in. I have the Chanel Le Beiges. This is the new formula. Soleil Tan Bronze Universal. This is $3.90, the Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream. A little bit strange. This one is a lot more orange. It's fine. It's just, it doesn't do a lot. I mean, it makes me look a little more tan. It adds warmth to the face, but I don't know if everyone loves the color of that one. I have my Fenty body sauce in Pearl Swirl. This is a body product you can use on the face, although it's not really meant for the face. So you might have breakout issues, but this is a really pretty color. A little bit better than the Chanel, but it is very liquidy. I find it blends on the skin really easily though. And then last but not least, I have the Junkay Radiance Gel Bronzer. I believe there's only one shade of this. Comes in a tube like this. I don't use this one very often at all. Okay, this one's very warm. I don't think I like the color of it in red. It's very red and orange. So I see why I don't use that one. It's a weird color for me. I'm gonna go with the Tom Ford. I'm gonna use my fingers to apply. And this is the Sonia G Classic Base. This is from the Fusion series. It has synthetic and natural fibers. I like to usually blend out with my fingers, but I might get more staying power if I use a brush. So onto blush and highlight. I will say the one thing I do like about creams is how fast I can move through my routine, because I'm mostly using fingers and maybe like one brush to do my complexion, whereas powders I need all different kinds of brushes to apply different products. So starting with, I have a couple of blush options here, and I have a lot of cream blushes in tubes in like separate containers. I have not many cream blushes in like a palette. This is the M's Cosmetics. Oh, I don't know the name of this. These, I think they're like blush drops or something like that. They look like nail polishes, but they're very liquidy, super dewy blushes. This is the little lilac shade. This is very glowy. Like it just, my problem with this formula, it's pretty, but it remains very tacky. It doesn't really dry down. This is also kind of a strange color for me. I thought it would be fun and different. But the formula of this, it's very glass skin-like. So if you like that like high shine, this formula might be for you. But for me, I need it to dry down. Like I don't want flypaper, sticky tacky skin. I think it's a pretty effect. Maybe if you're doing a photo shoot or like something very temporary, that might be an option. Another one I have two of these. This is Chantecaille Cheek Gelée, and this is the shade Happy. This is a very peachy pink color. This one is more gel-like, not as liquidy. I just think it's a little bit more user-friendly. So I'm going to use this one today, Happy. And I'm going to try to use my brush again. Just going to slap it on. Okay, moving on to highlight. I have the Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight. This is a liquid highlight that comes out in like a sponge tip applicator. And then I have the Westman Atelier lit up highlight stick in Nectar. One of the, this one is very natural looking, almost invisible, but pretty and glowy. On the skin it looks invisible. To me, it's just not high impact. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight. It's a little bit dark for me, but it's still pretty. I think I would get a lighter shade if I want to pick up another one. I think I'm going to go with the Charlotte Tilbury. I'm going to do that and that. That brush is going to be too much, so it's going to be a lot of highlight. Just use the fingers. A bit more of a natural blend out. This is the point where I would put on a setting powder. Because this stuff is so glowy, I kind of want it to relax and set a little bit before I go into powdering my face, just because when it's so wet, powder and the brush, it just doesn't always attach nicely. So while I'm waiting for that to dry down, I'm going to do my brows. But I'm going to use my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze to lift my lashes, my brows a little bit. Now I'm using the M Cosmetics brow gel, essentially. This is the blonde shade. I'm going to use a very glowy, not very glowy, but semi-glowy setting powder so we don't lose this glowy effect. This is the Go Kendo Mafanchi Natural Lighting Powder. And it does not give a very matte finish, but I do need something to set my face, unfortunately. I think most people like to use a little bit of something to just make sure their makeup stays in place and not as juicy. All right, moving on to the eyes. I went through my collection. I don't actually have a lot of like traditional liquidy kind of products. I have a few products like this where they're kind of lip gloss looking sponge tip applicator eyeshadows that are like gel like, but they're quick drying and they don't like remain creamy. They dry to kind of a powder finish. So I have some of those, and I have like these Charlotte Tilbury's Eyes to Memorize, very creamy products, but they dry pretty to a powder finish as well. I think most people prefer that. I do like that. I'm going to count these as cream eyeshadows. Also, I have one of the new Tom Ford cream quads in Rose Topaz. These are kind of cream powder hybrids. So I have all of these to choose from today to start off with, but there's no like full cream eyeshadow palettes. I have a couple of creams in the new Patrick Ta eyeshadow palette that I could pick from as well, but it's not like I have a ton of cream eyeshadows in my collection. So I'm going to start off with the quad and use this peach, very natural looking shade here, just to get something down on my lid. I think this is a good base shade if you have a lighter skin tone, just kind of even things out. Doesn't have a lot of color on me. I think where it gets a little bit tricky is when you want to like deepen your crease or create a contrast. Doing that with your hands doesn't always look so pretty. So I'm going to take the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize Oyster Pearl and try to create some dimension. Right, here we are. Very dry finish once you blend it out. Not really creamy anymore. Now I'm going to take another Eyes to Mesmerize shade, Rose Gold, on the lid. This doesn't show up too well on me. It's not like a very pigmented color. In our corner, I'm going to use this light shade here from the quad. This one is still a cream, even though it looks pretty powdery in the palette. It's a cream powder hybrid, I'll call it. It's not like as wet as you would think it would be. All right, so I think I'm pretty much done with the eyes. I could use, like, if I wanted to deepen up my lash line, I could use this shade. I'm gonna throw on some mascara and then we'll get to lips. Jones Road. This is the black, the mascara. I mean, technically all mascaras are cream, right? Right, mascara, very light coat is on. I have a couple of glossy, balmy type of lip products. This first one is from Junkay. This is the Lip Chic formula. This is Tea Rose. I wanted to do something that is very dewy, right? And then I have the Chanel Rouge Coco Flash in Live. Both very, very pretty. I'm going to go with the Coco Flash. Very pink, fresh looking shade. And that is it for the final look. Alright guys, what are my final thoughts on doing all liquid products except for setting powder? I think if I am walking around in the weather and doing stuff, this makeup might last 2 hours max before I start looking really greasy and my oil is coming through. I think it's a very pretty natural look though, and I do like it. I think things look more blended and are easier to blend and become one with the skin than using powders, to be honest. I think powders are easier to use in a sense in certain ways, and then creams are easier to use in other ways just because it's, to me, just less brushes, a lot of using of the fingers, just kind of get a more of a blown out look, like not as defined up in here. The eyes are a little less complicated when you use all creams, in my opinion. And they do look, again, just a little bit more of a wet look, maybe of a shiny look. But this, I mean, I'm very happy with the end result. I think I do look glowy and I'm happy with it. It's just longevity. When you go cream and glowy, it's I think a little bit harder to keep this makeup up throughout the day, especially in a warmer temperature environment. I just think that things melt off a little bit faster. But I do really enjoy this look. It was fun to kind of challenge myself to use only cream products. I suggest you guys go through your collection and see if you can put a full face together and see how it turns out. You might discover a few products, a few tips and tricks along the way, like, hey, I can do this. I don't need to rely on powders as much. But I do think powders do a really good job of like blurring and smoothing and diffusing, whereas creams, it might be more just about reflection and bouncing the light off. I don't know, you just get different effects with different kinds of mediums, I suppose. Anyways, if you like this video, click the thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.